Good morning, party people, and welcome back to the reeants podcast, where I talk about random stuff that's on my mind. This is episode number 2, and I'm your host, Rianne. Today's topic is jealousy. That weird, gross feeling that creeps in when someone shares good news, or when you see two people getting close and you're like, okay, yeah, let's talk about it. Let's talk about how it shows up, where it comes from, and how I've learned to deal with it. Quick disclaimer before we dive in. I am not an expert in psychology or therapy. This podcast is just me talking about life and what I've gone through. Nothing I say is fact unless I reference it. So take what resonates and leave what doesn't. Alright, so let's start with the obvious. What does jealousy even feel like? For me, it's this tight sinking feeling in my chest. Sometimes I feel it in my throat. A lot of times I feel it in my throat. It feels like I'm comparing, overthinking, and spiraling in my thoughts. And at the root of it, it's usually me and my insecurities, or me feeling like I'm not enough. And whether it be relationships, friendships, hobbies, career-wise, we have all gone through jealousy. We've all gone through a jealousy episode. Okay, I'll be a little bit honest. Jealousy used to be really bad for me, but I have gotten myself into a really great relationship with my boyfriend. And even now, as I'm healing, I feel like I catch myself falling back into the patterns that I used to have. And I thought that I outgrew these patterns, but it always finds a way to sneak back in. So just to be clear, my boyfriend is amazing. I feel really safe and secure with him and our relationship. But for example, the other day I was, hanging out with him, and he got a notification on his phone, and my immediate thought was who is he texting? Who's texting him? But at that moment, I realized that I was in my head about it. It was so weird. Why is that my first thought? Why do I care about who he's texting? I trust him. So why do I feel the need to figure out what he's always doing? And that's when it clicked that obviously, number one, I'm going to make a podcast episode about this, but also number two, jealousy isn't always about the other person's wrongdoings. It's about your insecurities. Or that's how I think about it. I think it's rooted in insecurity. It's not that I think that he would hurt me, but it's that I haven't fully healed parts of me that expect to be hurt, I guess. There's no soft blow when it comes to situations where I might get hurt. It's always bam, 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 bam every time I do have a jealousy episode. But that's how I was before, at least. But now it's okay, it's a little twinge in my throat, but it's really hard to admit that. But anyways, we're going off track. Especially when people say that you shouldn't be in a relationship when you're not fully healed, but who is truly fully healed? I feel like that's another topic for another episode though. But anyways, sometimes jealousy shows up when you see someone posting about getting into a college that you got rejected from, or when your crush suddenly has a new partner, or when someone's life just seems a little bit more put together than yours. It kind of stings. It hurts really bad. But if you ever thought they don't deserve all those blessings, that's jealousy. That is jealousy. You're putting an evil eye on someone. It doesn't mean that you're evil, but it means that you're a human that's probably hurting somewhere deep inside. And you need to dig deep to get that out. Even if it's just a little pinch by pinch, a little goes a long way, especially if you start by figuring out why you're jealous, or figuring out what triggers that jealousy. And just know that this feeling has been going on for centuries. Like, you are not the first person to be feeling jealous. So don't ever feel like you're alone when it comes to jealousy and stuff like that. For me and like a few people that I know, jealousy usually comes from things like low self-esteem, unhealed trauma, feeling behind in life, or just constantly comparing yourselves to everyone else. And let's be honest, social media does not help. If you're jealous and you're on social media, whether it be for relationships, your body, your physique, your whatever, I feel like social media does not help. Social media is basically like everyone's highlight reel. Like, everyone's posting their good and barely the bad. You know, you're not getting everyone's self. You're not getting their authentic self. So obviously it's easy to scroll and feel like you're boring or like you're falling behind, but people don't really post their rock bottoms unless you have a spam page that you do that on. But I don't know, like I feel like you wouldn't even put that on public domain. I have seen people film their crash outs though, but I feel like that's also glamorized. But I feel like that's a whole different episode. Social media is like a whole different episode. But basically, people on social media post their peaks, they post their glow ups, and it's like you have to remind yourself that you're not behind and that people just go through life at a different pace. There should be no shame in that. You are your own person. You have to live your own life. You can't constantly compare yourself to someone who is like 10 steps ahead of where you also want to be. But you have to realize that life is a journey. Like, you can't rush everything. You have to go through it. You have to go through life. Like, that's basically it. So honestly, I just feel like I'll make a whole episode about how I feel about social media, but for now, just know that social media plays a huge part about how we view ourselves and how we think. I want to reiterate that jealousy doesn't make you a bad person. All right. It's just a signal. It's like a reminder that something inside you needs care and attention, and there's a couple ways that I try to overcome my toxic mindset when it comes to like jealousy. Here's what I do to help me, okay? So I do a pause and check-in. So when I feel that jealousy creeping in, I ask myself, what am I really upset about? Is it about them, or is it about where I feel stuck? This helps ground you and figure out where your head is at. As an overthinker myself, I tend not to only think outside the box, but I think outside of the universe. Like, I am just an overthinker, and it's really unhealthy. Sometimes I have to humble myself and like remind myself not to compare to someone who, like, I'm trying to grow my YouTube channel right now, and I'm comparing myself to a person who has 1 million, and I only have like 200 something subscribers. That person who is in their millions has worked hard for that career and that goal that I just barely started posting consistently, and I'm working my darndest to get to that level. But also I'm doing this for fun. So I just have to remind myself that, you know, people are at different paces. People have different goals in life. And even if you do have the same goal of reaching 1 million subscribers, you have different ways of getting there. Another thing that I do is to talk it out. Sometimes I'll literally say it out loud, or to a friend, or sometimes to my boyfriend, like, hey, I know like this is really irrational, but I'm feeling a little insecure right now, or I'm feeling weird. And just naming it or speaking it out loud helps it lose its power. Another thing I try to do, which I have been really bad at recently, I try to limit my scroll time. So if I realize that I'm feeling worse after being on social media, I turn my phone off, I log off, I delete the app, whatever. Even if it's just for a few hours, although social media could be lighthearted and fun sometimes, I noticed that there's a lot of toxic ideologies spreading throughout the internet, whether it's the pop the balloon videos or different ways your boyfriend could be cheating on you right now. You have to realize that your relationship with the people around you, platonic or romantic, is not those videos. You are your own person, and your relationships with the people around you are not the same ones that you see on your screen. You can feel like they're relatable and stuff, but that should not be the blueprint of how you view relationships, period. Like Love Island, that is so unrealistic and it's so toxic. But I feel like I should make I have a lot of video ideas that I need to start scripting because I just have so many ideas. But anyways, my last thing that I do is I redirect my energy. So I try to turn jealousy into motivation or self-compassion instead of like, okay, they're doing too much, or okay, I'm ugly. like instead of like thinking that, I say, okay, they're thriving and I can too, like in my own time. Like I know that when it comes to content creation, like I mentioned before, I find myself comparing my growth in videos to people who have put their time and effort into their content for longer than I have. But instead of thinking of why I'm not in their position, I start posting more. I have a consistent schedule. I plan out my content, and I'm trying to study the algorithm, even though I don't understand it most of the time. But I do all those things in order to achieve the success that other people have. Maybe not at such a larger scale, but I think that monetization would be fun for sure. But I think making content is just so fun. Scripting these videos, scripting my podcasts is so much fun. Editing the videos that I take that, take me hours to film or a day or even a couple days to film, that's so fun to me. And if I start comparing myself to people who have done this for years, when I just started posting consistently, keeping up with my schedule, then what am I doing? Why am I doing that to myself when I'm just getting started? This is only the beginning, okay? There's no rush into living your life, and there's no rush into growing up and growing, period. I feel like life should be about the journey, and then you can enjoy the destination when you get there. I'm just clip farming right now. Like, I need stuff for my Instagram, guys. But anyways, with all that being said, I try to tell myself these things when I start spiraling into something that I don't want to be in, like, another depressive episode, or days where I don't feel like doing anything, like unmotivated days. So I try to tell myself this: you deserve peace more than you deserve envy. You deserve contentment in a world that constantly tells you that you're not enough. You deserve to grow, even if it's at a slower pace than everyone else around you. Anyways, that's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. If any of this resonated with you, share this with someone who might need to hear it as well. I'll be back in this corner every other Wednesday, so stay tuned for the next episode where we'll be talking about something else that's been plaguing my mind that week. Until then, stay grounded, stay soft, and don't be too hard on yourself. All right. Bye.